It seems that in the ever-evolving landscape of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Konami has embarked on a transformative journey in the way anime character decks are conceived and brought to life. This shift is vividly illustrated through the introductions of the new archetypes such as the Gold Sarcophagus of Light and the Yubel archetype. It marks a departure from the past practices which often resulted in lackluster cards. For example, with the new Gold Sarcophagus of Light cards, they retrain a bunch of classic cards from Yugi's deck. The old versions of Silent Swordsman, Silent Magician, and the Gadget monsters, while iconic, don't have a coherent strategy with each other. So when you wanted to build a Yugi deck, you often struggle by breaking with these cards. But recently, there seems to be a change in the design philosophy. Historically, Konami's method involved creating cards and decks that mirrored their anime counterparts. And more often than not, there was a lot of disappointing cards released. A lot of effects had to be changed. While the printing of these cards can lead to some excitement for the anime fans and allowing players to wield the decks of their favorite characters, the complexity and speed of the game meant that these cards often lacked the synergy and cohesion needed to compete effectively. But that was with the older approach. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is known for having named archetypes, where each card shares a common name that makes them easily identifiable as part of a unified group. At this point, there are probably hundreds of them. Even classic cards have become archetypes of their own, such as Dark Magician and Blue Eyes. But this really started near the GX era, where the main character used the Elemental Hero archetype as his deck. This method ensures that the cards are designed to work well together, promoting a strategy that aligns with the archetype's theme. However, the latest evolution in Konami's approach goes beyond that naming convention. It now emphasizes revamping older cards that previously did not work well together, aiming to incorporate them into unified strategies that revolve around the primary character or theme of the card. For example, the retrains of Yugi's card all center around the card, Gold Sarcophagus of Light, while still having their own proper name. The new Yubel cards are very similar. They all have their own proper name but still focus around the main card, Yubel. Now they work with each other without needing to have the same name. The new approach seems to be to have cards that work with other cards that mention the same card. Now it is a bit convoluted, but let's take Infernal Gravescormer as an example to show what I'm talking about. His first effect is that if you control a fiend monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can destroy one monster you control that is Yubel or mentions it. This method allows for the creation of decks that are not only thematic, unique, accurate, and narrative driven, but can also be competitive in the modern gameplay environment. Archetypes are no longer shackled by having to share the same name. Each card is free to have its own identity. This newfound emphasis has resulted in a significant increase in different cards created to complement one another, and even bring some long-forgotten cards back to life by giving them new functions within these cohesive decks. While this integration creates more strategic depth and thematic richness, it also continues the same challenge this game had for years: the increased quantity of card text. In order to encourage this synergy, cards must have additional detailed effects and conditions, which can make it difficult to grasp, yet it also creates new possibilities. By redefining how cards and archetypes are created, Konami has unlocked a realm of endless possibilities. Every character with a disjointed deck can now have a consistent strategy while keeping their iconic cards. They can now have decks that truly represent their personalities and strategies that complement what was seen in the anime. For example, Yami Yugi's deck could seamlessly incorporate the Three Knights, the Magnet Warriors, and other iconic cards like Big Shield Garna and Celtic Guardian into a unified strategy. Similarly, Joey's new archetype could focus on his gambling luck, bringing together cards like the legendary Fisherman and Jinzo in a way that mirrors his Battle City adventures. If we go even further, in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Spin-off, some of Yusei's non-archetypal random cards can definitely need a revamp. Stuff like Quillbot Hedgehog, Shieldwing, and Sonic Chick. But there doesn't seem to be a limit to how they create these cards, since they have revealed some new cards for Yugi's new Gold Sarcophagus of Light deck. Archfiend's Arrival, who is Summon Skull, and Dark Magician the Ebon Sorcerer, so they're definitely not confined to some strict rules to create these cards. Additionally, they've definitely evolved the way that they retrain classic cards. I've mentioned it in a previous video, but cards such as Monster Reborn and Soul Exchange recreate specific moments and effects seen in the original manga and anime. By updating these cards with more liberty with their effects, Konami makes the iconic moments from the anime more achievable and relevant to the game. This not only pays homage to the series' history, but also brings back these beloved classics for new and returning players alike. While these innovations offer a wealth of options for deck building and thematic play, they also come with a caveat. Not all these thematic decks may find a place in the competitive meta, but that shouldn't be too surprising, to be honest. However, for casual players and anime fans, this new approach enhances the game's appeal, allowing for a deeper connection with the characters and stories of the Yu-Gi-Oh universe. Even though not all decks will dominate in tournaments, the satisfaction of playing a deck that truly embodies a character or theme from the anime can be a joyful experience in itself, and having new support for your favorite character is always great in my book. Personally, I am pretty excited to see what they come up with. I'm sure everyone has a character or characters deck that they would like to see getting a revamp that invigorates their team. Obviously, most of them will probably come from the older series, since they're the ones that got paracrept a long time ago. There are a few characters that I would like to see get the same treatment. For dual monsters, I'd probably choose Yami Bakura. He used a few different decks throughout the show, with his most iconic one being Destiny Board, but I would like to see something that incorporates Diamond Colonel in his Necro cards too, something that really represents him. He's always been like a control type player. Like I've mentioned before too, I'd like to see Joey get something that isn't just Red Eye support, although there has been some new Flame Swordsman stuff, but there needs to be something else. For GX, it would definitely be Chaz. At one point he used 3 different archetypes in the same deck: the Ojamas, Armed Dragon, and the VWXYZ Union monsters. I feel like it would be neat if they can combine all of them into one single archetype. In any case, we'll see how Konami handles it in the future. In conclusion, Konami's shift towards more thematic and cohesive archetype design represents a significant evolution in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. By moving beyond simple naming conventions and integrating cards into a meaningful strategic ensemble, Konami is not only paying tribute to the rich lore of the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, but also enhancing the gameplay experience for players, especially anime fans, with the way the retrains are designed. This approach opens up new avenues for creativity, strategic depth, and personal connection to the game, ensuring that Yu-Gi-Oh remains a dynamic and engaging experience for years to come. So those were my thoughts on what seems to be a shift in design for newer anime cards. Of course, let me know in the comments down below what you think about all this. Also, which character would benefit from having a new archetype, similar to Yugi's or Yubel's one. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.